Hi Aditya.
Aditya.
Hi. In the last session, you showed us in detail about how you produce a song
Yes.
and what are the nitty gritties and grits, as you call them, in your
Great.
production,
Great in my production, yes.
about your music
Yeah.
production approach. Uh, we'd also like to take this opportunity in this video to uh, know from you what are the tips and tricks you would share with people who are, kind of new to programming and just starting off, so that they also save time, and when they give the session to an engineer, the engineer is happy to receive that session.
Exactly. So today, what I'm gonna share with you is the way I approach a project in terms of management. Um, how I make my work flow faster rather than anything else. So this is a song that I did for Preetham. It's called Delhi Wali Gali from Jawani Diwani. It was supposed to be a dhol mix. I don't know what happened to it later. But this is the project and why this project I'm taking as an example is because this project has a lot of tracks. And so you can see there are number of tracks. Then there is this. So we had a complete live dhol dubbing session. These tracks selected right now are the live dhol tracks that I have. So these tracks go into a folder for me. I balance them separately and then they go into a group. What I do personally is that I like to color code all my tracks. Like for me, orange is always rhythm, yellow is always bass. The green parts are the backing parts, the blue parts are the music parts, and the lighter orange or the yellowish tracks are the FX tracks. Usually, I like to color my vocal pink, vocal tracks as pink. So this is how you can do like multiple tracks. If most of the people find it difficult to, assign color to tracks in one go, like multiple tracks in one go. So what you do is you make sure that none of the events is selected in the arrangement window. You can just click outside once and everything will get deselected. If there is something selected, you just click it outside and it will get deselected. Then select all the tracks that you want to color as one, and then go to the color drop down menu and give it a color. So this is how you can assign color to multiple
How
tracks
does
in
it
one
help?
go.
How does color coding help?
See, once you know your own color coding, it's like labeling your drawers in the house. You know, this drawer is meant for my letters. This drawer is meant for my money. This drawer is meant for other things. Similarly, when you're making a project, it really helps to know your sections. Like Cubase now as a software has made it very simple for us to arrange and manage our projects, so that the workflow becomes very faster. If there is a kick that I'm looking at, I can just zero down into the orange section where the rhythm is, so I would know where the kick is. And it is very important for you to label your tracks. As you can see, I've labeled all my tracks, and it becomes the session becomes much more faster for me.
But like I can see you have three kicks here, and two of them are called kick.
This track over here is a group track. As you can see the icon.
Okay.
So I'll just enlarge it for you. This is the group track.
Okay.
These are the three kick tracks that I have. There's a drop kick, which is like this, and then there is a normal kick that I used for the track. So this is a very pillowy, hollow sort of a kick. This is a psychedelic trance sort of a kick, that they use in those tracks. So these three kicks together make the kick for me, and then I have put them in a group so I can actually do my processing on all of them together, rather than applying plugins to each and everyone individually. So all three kicks sound like this together. So now whenever I want to increase the volume or decrease the volume, instead of grouping those three tracks, I assign them to a group, a bus, and that bus does it for me. So this is how I approach it. You can basically manage it by just grouping all the three tracks together and go for it. Then the FX tracks. Later on, like in further stages, I also like to assign. If I have a summing mixer, I'm using a summing mixer. There are times when I use a SPL summing mixer or a SSLX disc. When I actually out of my RME, I stem them out into 8 stereo tracks and go through. So those 8 stereo tracks, like two stereo, one stereo track would be FX, one stereo track would be voice, stuff like that. But that is on a further angle when I want to mix something.
Right. Now, when you work on these tracks and you finalize your session,
Yeah.
you send it to your engineer.
Yes.
So when you send it to your engineer, do you recommend that the number of tracks be reduced? Because there are many users who send 200 tracks, 300 tracks.
Yes,
Because there's no limit, kind of a thing.
and see, in my opinion, it is completely unnecessary. It is unnecessary wastage of time. The engineer is going to open up the track, and your sound is going to change. See, if you are a producer who believes in making your own sound, and not in terms of like sampling and everything, but having like this is how, like these three kicks, for example. Now I said that this is the kind of kick that I want. So I'm not going to give my engineer all the three kicks separately. I'm just going to send him the group out.
Right.
So all three kicks will go mixed. Similarly, all of these dhols that I have, these dhol tracks, there are so many of them. Right? They are all individual tracks. If I go play them, they're all played individually. Like that. And this one. So they're all different dhol tracks. But what I've done is I've put them to a bus, and I've processed it the way I wanted to process it. And I'm going to send him this track itself.
Just one.
Just one track. The one stereo track that will be the dhol track, which would be this bus. So I've got my UAD plugins on it. So I've done my bit of processing on it. I've cleaned the harmonics that I didn't want, and the track is going to go together.
But suppose you send him all these 8-10 tracks of the dhol. Don't you think he can add his creativity by panning them or processing them further?
Of course he can. Of course he can.
But you're restricting by giving him just one track of dhol.
See, that's the approach that I like to take with an engineer. I'm giving him enough components to play around with, but I'm not encumbering his session with a lot of unnecessary tracks. He would also probably bounce them on, and he's not going to treat each and every dhol differently.
Okay.
And if he's going to sit and do that, he's going to take 5 days just to mix the project to get to a fine balance, and then further start mixing it. So I'm making life easier for a lot of people. I'm making life easier for me by making a project which sounds the way I want it to sound. And see, that's the difference where you start programming and you start making your own sound, and you want to get to a result which is in your head. There are certain design elements to the sound that you do yourself, and you don't want it to be touched. This is the final sound that I want for the dhol. The engineer then further would do a little bit of tweaking here and there to make it fit in the mix his way. So this is how it is. Like even like these tracks over here, like that dhol is different. This is a sampled dhol that I use on top of it in choruses. Now these sampled dhols I'm going to send separately because there are different sound texture for me altogether. And then he's going to balance the two of them and figure out a perfect balance, how it suits him. Similarly, there is this rhythm track. Now, this is the rhythm track from the original song. This guy remix hai. And then there are these dirty sounds that I'm using. Now this, along with this. Now there are these 3 clap tracks that I have. I'm not going to send him all 3 clap tracks, and I have the final clap sound with me. I'm just going to make his life easier and my life easier by sending him what are the necessary elements. Now there are these two basses. There is a sub bass with a click on top of it, and then there is a slap bass behind it with trillion. So these are the 2 basses that I will send him differently because they too are completely different sounds. He might want to add the bite from the slap bass a little bit more. So that is the kind of freedom that I'm going to give to the engineer to polish my mix. But unnecessary burdening the session with a lot of tracks which are not necessary, I don't think it's a very good idea. It just makes it a whole lot messier, dirtier. It eats up your head, you eat up your time trying to manage the track and not working on the song. So I think that's why it is very necessary for you to manage and clean up your project in a way where you can basically make life easier for yourself and make your workflow much faster. That's how it goes.
Thanks so much for this.
Thank you so much.